Alright, so setting this up, this is Google, and October 26th, stock was looking good to me. It was kind of consolidating underneath the highs. And again, this is a different type of level 2 trade because this is going to be just a chase trade, an aggressive chase where the stock makes new highs, and I feel like I'm seeing really solid bid activity, so I just try and scalp a long trade. So I'm going to set this up. Alright, so I'm looking at Google here, and we're up near the high. We're just underneath the high, and there's a couple different things to make note of with this chase trade. Number one, it's 10:52. Alright, so we're an hour and a half into the day just about. Timing's important. We've gotten good movement on the stock. You look at yesterday's close, 719. You look at today's open, 720. We have directional movement. We have moved 9 points from the opening price, and we have moved 10 points from yesterday's close. That's important because since I've seen the movement today, I will be willing to bet on continued movement. I'm always more likely to bet on something happening that has already happened rather than bet on something happening that hasn't happened yet. So the fact that Google had shown movement to this point is very important for my bias in terms of being willing to chase this trade. So I'm going to watch the 735 strike calls, and this is going to be a very, very quick trade. I think it happens within 30 seconds. But again, the key is that it had shown movement. So usually I'm not the type of guy that buys new highs. I usually like waiting for the break. But because I've seen the movement and because I like the bid activity, I am going to do it. So on Google here, check this out. First of all, look how deep our bids are. Look how deep our bids are. 728.80s on the bid, and there's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 15 of these bidders. Granted, they could be manipulative. We don't know that they're for sure real until they get tested, but I'll trust what I see unless I don't see it anymore. So I see these deep bids, I see the stock testing highs, and I like what I'm seeing from those deep bids, and also the thin asks. We have very thick bids, but very thin asks. We've only got 4 shares on the ask at 29.33, 6 shares on the ask at 29.40, 6 shares at 29.50. Just not a lot of asks compared to the bids. So when I see that, that gives me some encouragement to be a momentum trader here and chase the move. So I placed the bid at 450 on the 735 calls, but I don't fill. So I'm going to end up raising the bid, and I get in at 470. But look at these bids, the way we stack. That right there, I love. All right, rewinding it for a second. That is a key thing to note when you are deciding to chase. When you start getting the upticks, I rewound it about 40 seconds, and I want you to pay attention to the pace of the upticks. The pace of the upticks on the bids. There's one uptick on the bids. Oh, my dumbass switched to Tesla for a second. Okay, switch to Amazon. What are you doing? All right, more upticks on the bids. 728.40s. And the bids just keep upticking. 728.70s. Then we get the lineup in 728.80s. Just awesome upticks right there. So that's what gives me the confidence to chase this, because now we're above 729, and look at our upticks, 729.20s right away. So I'm seeing those strong upticks just underneath the high, and I'm thinking, man, based on these upticks, if this thing breaks the high, it's probably going to be able to move a couple points. Why do I think that? Number one, because of the upticks, and number two, it comes back to the movement on the day. It's made good movement on a day. It has a range of 10 points from the opening price. So my bias is that it'll be able to keep moving if it's able to make a new high. So I click play. I did just get in that 735 call at $4.70. Just looking to chase the new highs. I place an ask right away at $5. And what do I place it at? 20 cents, I believe. And look at this, we're testing 730 and just an awesome smash above 730. You see that? Get above 730, we're still getting upticks. You look at this 3-minute chart, the chart is looking sexy, but again, I don't necessarily need to look at the chart. It certainly helps for confirmation, but I know the chart looks good because of the activity I've already seen on level 2. And so I have my sell order placed at $5.20. This is just going to be nice and quick. There's the order, and at 520, I'm just trying to sell into the new highs. Stock continues to uptick. We've got some asks stacking at 730.69, takes them out. Testing 731, just continues to ramp higher. You look at those bids, we're still seeing great upticks across the board. Probably could have raised this sell order based on what I'm seeing, but I just stick with the 520. I did get filled at 520. You can see the closed P&L shows up. And now you get above 731, and look at your bids. Your bids are still climbing higher, upticking at a very, very fast pace. Alright, so I want to replay that and just kind of let the action speak for itself. And the main thing I want you to pay attention to is once we start getting above 729 on the bids, just look at how they don't stop. And on a stock like Google, which can move on air sometimes, I mean, we just saw a 3-point move in one candle. That's a big move because it has a relatively small float compared to something like an Apple or a Netflix. When you see those bids get super active like that without any ask pressure, pretty good chance you're going to get a decent move. Alright, so here we are, rewound it a few seconds back before the highs started getting made. And again, just pay attention to how the bids stay super strong and uptick very aggressively while the asks do not downtick or anything, and they stay thin, and it just continues to ramp higher. Here's the 730 test. Watch how quickly the bids get above 730 when it crosses above it. Boom. Awesome. Huge stack above 730, very deep bids, very little ask stacks. We finally get a little ask stack at 730.69 right here, but it takes it out right away. See that? So even when there was an attempt at some slight ask pressure, it's still just able to move right through it. Now we're at 731, and we end up seeing the same exact thing at 731 that we saw at 29 and we saw at 730. So that's that. So for me, personally, I'll be honest, this is my least favorite setup. I do not like chasing, but if I am going to chase, that's the type of action I want to see.